How to draw for real, for real. Now, I want to preface this by saying that this video is for people who are not artists, but they want to learn how to begin drawing or visualizing their ideas because they can't hire an artist right now, and or they cannot get what they specifically want from AI prompts. They either want to make a comic, an illustrated book, and or they probably want to try doing an animation and maybe some more. Now, I'm not going to even tell you how I got into comics because that's a long story, and I'm going to say it involves some scamming though. I just got mad, but that's another story for another day. I will say that this is how I had to learn how to teach myself how to draw because I had a lot of stuff going on and my learning style is different. I'm really, really on the go. But, there's something for everybody. This is just what worked for me. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm very good at avoiding the long way to learn things. So let's continue. If that's the type of time you on, this is the video for you. Now, here are the steps to learn how to draw for real. Number one, first know that the art fundamentals are already within you and around you. You already practice them even when you don't draw. Step two, you have to know what your art fundamentals are based on your discipline. Now, me, I only do comics and illustrations, so my fundamentals are perspective, anatomy, not just for humans, but for every living creature, composition, depth, so foreground, middle ground, and background, color, light and shadow, and there may be some more, but those are the fundamentals I use for now. So for example, if you want to be an artist who just does like hyper realistic portraits, perspective may be good to know, but it may not be a priority for you. If you are an animator, the fundamentals for a comic artist may be good, but I know that for a fact that you also need to know the 12 principles of animation. So you may have to do that instead. So you see what I'm saying? Like when you have a specific discipline, you really have to think about what are fundamentals you need to focus on or prioritize. Step three, to practice your fundamentals or to learn how to draw, you have to know your why and you have to know your end goal of the day. So if you draw like 100 heads in different positions and you didn't know your why or what your end goal was, you just wasted time. As a matter of fact, you ain't even practice at all. And your why can't just be like, oh, I want to master art. That's how you stress yourself out. And I know you're probably going to disagree with me, but art is a continual learning process. You can't really like master it completely. And when you quote unquote master it, I feel like you're just mastering your art style or you're just kind of like expressing yourself to the fullest potential. It's really, really different. I think the smaller your why and your end goal is, the better you are able to operate. And I think it's good to do it that way because it's kind of like you practicing for a football game, except, of course, we don't do football. For this little video, we're going to pick our why. Our why is we're doing a one-page comic right now, right? And I labeled the other panels over here in text because we want to give the illusion that they're already done just for the sake of time. And the end of the goal for this one-page comic is to finish this close-up panel and not just finish this close-up panel completely. I just want to finish the inking stage and I have an earring I need to do over here. Step 4, don't just start looking for references. No. What I think you should do is start by identifying the references you need. So for this step, we are inking earrings, but we're not just going to be looking for any earrings. I want the earrings to be silver with some diamonds on it. So I want it to be kind of like gleaming. After I identify the references that I need, I'm going to start asking all of you to start being nosy. Yeah. And this should be easy for some of y'all. When you out there staring at people or like, let's say interacting with a pet, or maybe when you see a building and you just stop to look at it and then you notice it had like arch windows, you are practicing the fundamentals by just looking at them. I want to say that the only reason why like my perspective got better over the years that I've been practicing how to draw is not because of a perspective book. It was really because of Blender. Years ago, I was at a point in my life where I was like, yo, I'm gonna cheat my way through this. I don't want to learn how to draw or anything like that. I just need to get my ideas out there. So I'm gonna be tracing these 3D models and just pass it off as my background. Yeah, I did that. But when I was doing this, I did not realize that me working with a 3D object in the 3D space on Blender was me indirectly teaching myself perspective through Blender. And in, like, let's say 3 years or so, I just got tired of Blender one day. I was like, no, I'm tired. I want to do perspective from scratch. That's how my perspective improved. Don't just look at things, don't just be nosy, but like be nosy about how they are shaped. Look at them, look at the objects you are seeing under the sunlight. Look at how they move, do this until you understand what they look like or how they are in different positions. Just be nosy. But make sure, like, if you're being nosy around somebody, make sure they don't see you watching them, and make sure, like, they don't call the police on you, because I won't be there to save you. So just FYI, just in case you don't know. All right. Step 5, record your references. You take your pictures, you look for pictures on places like Pinterest. One tip would be to improve your search terms when you're looking for pictures, just to make this process a lot more shorter. Take videos, or just mentally keep thinking about like what you saw, because sometimes we may not have cameras on us, so like we just gotta like keep it in mind until we get home. And like, I've been in this situation before. Like I was in, a place out there where there was no like service, and I just had to like, I saw something, a plant, and I loved how it looked like, but my phone was out, so I had to literally wait until I got home 30 minutes later, and I just picked a piece of napkin. I just like quickly sketched what I saw in there. It didn't have to be perfect, but that's what I did. Once you got all your references, you take all these references and you put them on the board. And just FYI, references are not like something you just do at one step. You're gonna do it constantly over time. Step 6. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your references, and you are either going to trace, observe, or draw parts of your references. Don't draw the full reference. Don't copy the full reference. Just draw the parts of the reference that matter. And I'm just going to show a quick example. The one thing I just want to mention is that me personally, I trace and or observe my references most of the time. I barely draw my reference. That's what I do. So I just want to let you know that's also possible. Now, step 7, expand on this by making test swatches. So if you are making forms, you're just basically doing step 6, but then you're doing step 6 in different ways, like this, right? If you are inking, you can make inking test swatches by just changing the filter of like the reference you have. You change the filter by turning it to grayscale and just like increasing the contrast, and it could give you an idea of what it could look like if you ever inked it yourself. If you want the color, you can just increase the curves or the contrast on the colors that are before you on the reference, and then you can kind of see which color stands out the most. Just kind of play with it however you want. And I may even do a video where I use like a sketchbook just to make it easier. But whatever you do at this stage, at step 7, make sure you either lose track of time or it does not take too long. You should not be thinking of time when you're doing this. If you are thinking of time, then you're doing the step wrong. Step 8 is optional, but I'm just going to mention it here because it helps me. I write down notes to keep me from not getting too confused as I make my observations, tracing, and sketches. It's really helpful, so I would recommend you try it. If it works, cool. If it don't work, that's fine as well. And at the final step, step 9, once you have all this down and you are ready to kind of like start working on your end goal, you basically are pretty much done over here. But I just want to say, when you make the first draft of whatever you're doing, you're never going to like the first draft. So at the step, or you may go back to step 4 and just repeat over and over again until you are okay with a version of the end goal that you like. Okay, so I split this into different layers just for you to see what I really did and what tools I used. I used different tools to execute different things. Right now, I have an iPad and I am working on Procreate. So if you want more examples of me using different things, let me know. Now, for number one, I made this black base over here because I saw a hint of a black outline on the earrings. And I made this shape on the whim only because on the earrings I noticed they were mostly geometric shapes, but I wanted to make it more like, a little bit organic. So I just added some ovals and then I just added the star thing because I wanted it to be like, kind of dramatic. Then I turned the black base into a white base. I made a copy of it and I made the white base because when you bring up the grayscale and you increase the contrast on the reference, you see that white comes up more often on the earrings. Now for this part, I used the free lasso tool to make these crazy shapes. I just was scrabbling. I didn't really care. I wasn't thinking at all at this state. And the only reason why I did this was because I wanted to make the black specks effect up there. So once I did this, I was really okay with the way it looked and I was like, you know what, I'll keep this. And I put it on a clipping mask. And then for the final part, I wanted to be more extra, so I found a comic sparkle brush that I have never used. And I was like, let me just use it. And when I put it on, I liked what it looked like. And I was like, let me just keep it. And that was that. So that's all I did for one earring. So I'm not saying or I'm not going against studying art or going through some type of training before doing any of your projects. I'm just saying that in my case, I had to do something different. And if you are in my situation, this may be like, something you could try. I recommend starting with something small, but I don't want you to abandon the stories that you want to work on because I'm gonna assume most of you are doing this because you want to visualize an idea that you've had, for years. So one way to keep you motivated is by holding on to those projects. So what I recommend you do is instead of just like you deciding to just say, "Oh, I'm gonna work on book one right now," just start with like a character design. Pick one of your characters that you really like and just start with a design. Or you could just, start with making a prompt or make a little storyboard for like a small scene or something like that. Something that is small, but that is a step toward what you really want to do because you really want to keep yourself motivated in this whole thing. There are so many great resources out there on how to make a comic, illustrate a story, animation, etc. But I just wanted to make this quick video, or it's not a quick video, but this video, one stop video, to help you with this part of the process as you observe those other videos. Because I noticed that those other videos have people who kind of go at their own pace, even though they explain whatever they explain very well. There are times where they go at their own pace and then you kind of lose track of things, and then they may say something like, oh, just draw or just practice, there's nothing to it. It can definitely be frustrating hearing that as somebody who is very new at this. So this video is a way for you guys to not panic anytime you hear something like that and to just know what to do. Thank you for watching. I know this is long. I'm sorry. I apologize. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm going to answer each and every one of them. And I just want to say good luck to each and every one of you. I definitely would love to read each and every one of your stories and watch each and every one of your stories. And you can tag him here. Like, I want to check them out. So yeah, thanks and good luck.